Welcome back to Morbid Message Monday. Today we have a tale of mayhem, murder, and a dipshit dweeb who made his fiction a reality. Today we talk about the one, the only Blake Leibel and the murder of Ayanna Kassian, his girlfriend and mother to his child, who was brutally desecrated. I'd like to extend a viewer/listener discretion warning. The topics of this podcast include murder, mutilation, and a nauseatingly annoying, try-hard, trust-fund little dipshit antagonist. I'd also like to remind you that if you like what we're doing here and would like to support the show, head on over to ko-fi.com/techmess.
Yes.
That is ko-fi.com/TECHMESS, where you can either subscribe or do a one-time tip that will help us continue the show. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on into this.
Yeah, let's talk about a murderer.
Yeah, let's talk about, and this is different than we don't normally just talk about a singular murder.
Yeah.
We're not Muck Duck here. We're more murderers.
Who is Muck Duck?
Muck Duck is just what Anna and I call murder. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted to extend that a little.
That's cool. No, that's from Muck Duck. I appreciate you, buddy.
No Muck Duck. Yes, exclamation mark Ko-Fi in the chat if you're watching live. And if you're listening and you'd like to watch live one day, twitch.tv/tech_mess is where you can do it for
Links
the time
are in
being.
all of the descriptions.
We're also working on possibly getting this one on YouTube. So, be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Be kind of cool. All right. Blake Leibel was born in Canada, May 8th, 1980. He's another Canadian. You know,
Why
these Canadians.
does Canada breed serial killers and murderers?
I don't know. It's Canada's fault.
Canada's.
Definitely nothing wrong with
Is it
the
because
U.S.
it's called Canada? Canada Cannibal?
The U.S. definitely doesn't have the highest mass shooting rate per capita. It definitely doesn't have the most serial killers per capita.
I'm
Like,
going to
it's,
move to Canada and
it's
start a
Canada.
sports team called the Canada Cannibals.
The Canada
Calling it
Cannibals.
right now.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, he was born to Lorne and Eleanor Leibel. His father, Lorne, is actually a Hall of Fame inducted sailor who competed in the 1976 Summer Olympics. And he's a real estate mogul. Now, this led to him being a very wealthy man. His mother was also the heiress to Arlos Products, a plastic manufacturing company. Now, not much is stated on Blake's childhood.
Special.
Yeah, it's, whatever. Not much is stated on his childhood, but it is known that he grew up quite wealthy. In fact, he's known by several as a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
This will be important later in the episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in 2010, Blake released a graphic novel called Syndrome, which was about a sadistic doctor's attempt to, quote unquote, cure evil, which he believed was stored in the brain of a serial killer. Now, these are his words about Syndrome. And I'm going to do my worst try-hard fucking piece of shit voice that I can do, but I'm going to fix Matt first.
Do it. What's wrong
Because
with me?
you're just like you're a little off to the side, on the opposite side. Stay where you are. It's
Center
nice.
me.
It looks good. You look great. Syndrome is a story about obsession on a number of levels, as experienced by four characters who all come from different worlds and yet find themselves embroiled in this giant, impeccably simulated environment. A. Blake did several hours of research into serial killers in order to write this graphic novel, and later this would prove deadly. Syndrome went on to do okay by graphic novel standards. Now, prior to this, Leibel, whatever the fuck him anyway, had a short and pitiful directing career, directing such classics as Bald and Spaceballs, the animated series.
What was Bald?
I don't know. It looked like a National Lampoon garbage
Bald
fest.
movie. Bald. Also, your impersonation of him sounded just like Syndrome from fucking The Incredibles.
Really? That's true.
It
Good
did.
point.
Oh wow.
That wasn't
2008.
intended, but hey, good for me. Now,
Wow, this is awful looking.
you may think to yourself, well, this Leibel guy sure seemed to do well for himself. I mean, he directed some episodes of a TV show and a whole movie. Not to mention he released a graphic novel. Well, you're wrong. See, Blake lived in L.A. on an $18,000 a month allowance from his wildly wealthy parents.
So, minimum wage in California.
Yeah, minimum wage in California. This was prior to his inheritance of millions after the loss of his mother. Blake is a fucking loser. I want you to remember this as we talk about him and what he's done. He's a fucking loser. He's an idiot, a dipshit, a failure, and a waste of human life. He's the fucking worst. And I want you to remember that. He is not a scary individual. He is a fucking idiot, and he's the
Right.
worst, and I hate him.
Yeah.
The more I read about this, the more I'm just like, I want nothing more than to make this dude feel like bad about himself. I
He's
want to
not.
bully him.
There really wasn't much about him that was redeemable in any way possible. So
Well, he's Canadian. Hey, Amulet's a perfectly good individual.
Amulet jumps in here. What? I heard somebody. I heard somebody.
What has
The
Pulls out his
Canadian
maple syrup,
senses are tingling.
chugs his entire bottle of maple syrup, goes turbo.
Snorts
Anyway.
fuel. Go ahead.
Now, with that out of the way, let's
What's
talk about what this dumb idiot loser did. I do want to bully him. I do. I want nothing more than to make... If he ever, for some reason, comes across this episode and thinks, wow, somebody's talking about my crime, I must be popular. You're not. You're a fucking piece of shit, and I hate you. And I hope that
Is he
tonight
still alive?
you get fucking cornholed. Anyway, in 2015, Blake suddenly ended things with his then wife and immediately became engaged to Ukrainian immigrant and fledgling model Ayana Kassian. It wasn't long until the two brought a baby into the world. Now, fast forward to May 24th, 2016, just 3 weeks after their baby was born. Olga, Ayana's mother, was panicked. She hadn't heard from Ayana in 48 hours, even after sending dozens of texts, calls, emails, faxes, not faxes, but whatever.
Yeah.
Any ways that you can get a hold of somebody, she did it. Olga was actually in Los Angeles to help with taking care of their newborn baby, who'd been born just 3 weeks prior. Olga reached out to the police and requested they perform a welfare check at their apartment in West Hollywood. The police followed through. I know, this is kind of crazy. Because
Yeah.
most of the time when we talk about police on this show, it's usually because they didn't follow
They
through.
don't follow through.
They didn't do a whole...
Well, they still.
We'll get into that. Anyway, I know what you're saying. Like, I get it. I'm kind of right there with you, but at the same time, he's white. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Canadian Mounties, man.
Well, they're in West Los Angeles. Like, they're in Hollywood. He lived in LA.
That's right. Yeah,
he was
he's in
just a
California.
Canadian himself. Now, Olga reached out to the police and requested they perform a welfare check. And they actually did.
Yeah.
They made their way to the apartment. They knocked on the door, and they got a response from Leibel, who refused to open the door. They did ask to come in, but he said, no, she's fine. Don't worry about her. We're fine. Everything's good. Nothing to worry about. Fuck you, you big, stupid dipshit. Anyway, he stated Cassian was fine and there's nothing to worry about. As a result, the police gave up and left.
Did you do that one on purpose?
It was now day 3 that Olga had heard nothing from her daughter, Ayana. She convinced the police to perform another welfare check. Now, once they arrived, they were met with heavy resistance again from Leibel, who again refused to open the door, still standing there stating there was nothing to worry about. The police decided this wouldn't suffice and decided finally to break down the door.
That's what makes me wonder is if they hadn't, had the first time, had they have actually gone in, like maybe they could have.
I don't think so.
Maybe
I'm going to be honest. I really don't think so.
I don't know.
The more I read into this, the more I'm like, I don't think so.
Maybe.
Kels, what's going on? Good to see
Hey,
you.
Kels, what's up?
We put chat in because, we're including chat on all the live stream stuff, except for maybe indie horror games.
Yeah. And just
I might even do it
stuff
then.
that's.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
Who knows?
Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. So they broke down the door, and what they found when they opened that door, entered that apartment, was one of the most shocking, horrific, and gruesome scenes that West Hollywood has seen. And Skid Row is not in West Hollywood, but is in LA. So
yeah, it's close
this
enough.
this is quite something. I must
Have
go
fun,
take.
buddy.
Oh, dude, you have a good night, buddy. Great to see you. Great to see you.
Get home safe.
Maybe you could leave it on lurk. That'd be fine. I'm just joking. Just fucking. Now, this is where the viewer discretion is highly advised.
Yes.
For God's sake, if you are squeamish, if you have problems,
this gets pretty bad.
this is about to get very rough up in here, up in here. Take your couple seconds to determine whether you want to sit here or not.
Hey, whilst you
Do
wait,
you
fix
like
my
the
screen.
murder? Do you like the gore? Do you want to stick around and hear about what this stupid trust fund dipshit did? Yeah. All right, your time is up. Now, there was blood throughout the entire apartment. The police immediately searched for Leibel. He was found in the master bedroom, which he had actually barricaded with furniture.
Yeah, he locked himself in this room.
He did. Yeah, he was like, for real. Like, God. Now, once the police finally broke down the door and got into the room, Leibel was, what they found was nothing short of like a true, honest to God nightmare.
Yeah.
Leibel was standing next to the bed. Now, on the bed was the mother of his child and fiance, Ayana, whose body was mutilated. Her bloody body was covered with a blanket from their daughter's nursery. I mean, that's such a sickening fucking detail,
yeah,
dude.
it's pretty bad.
Use any other blanket, but like using the one from your daughter.
You went into the nursery and were like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, like, oh my God. Now, it was noted that it appeared that Blake had actually been sleeping next to the body.
Ugh.
Like
Ugh.
there was like
Jesus
marks
Christ.
and stuff that like led police to believe he had been sleeping there.
It's
really rough.
That's fucked. It's absolutely fucked.
It's absolutely
gross.
fucked. And it's about to get way more fucked. Once the police uncovered the blankets, the scene got even more disturbing. Ayana's body was covered in bruises and several self-defense wounds. Now, she was also completely naked, like 100%, just like laying there, right? The right part of her face was ripped down to her jaw. So, like from her eye down to her jaw, like the skin was ripped off. You could see her
was
teeth.
Exposed. It was all exposed, like, muscle, bone, everything like that, just exposed.
Her ear was also ripped off. She had bruises and abrasions all up and down her face, and a large portion of her scalp was traumatically absent.
Yeah, it was just gone.
Her scalp had actually been stripped down to the bone. And it's believed that she lived for at least 6 hours in this state. In this state where her scalp was gone.
Yeah, so she was completely
She was still alive.
Brutalized, and she was still alive.
Tortured.
And that's
just
fucking awful.
Later, the medical examiner had stated that he'd never seen anything quite like it. Stating that the only thing that came close was when dogs had violently ripped two people apart because, quote, dogs go for the head.
They do.
Now, this is brutal, but what comes next is actually somehow even worse.
Yeah.
Her official cause of death was stated as exsanguination, also known as the act of draining a body of a human or animal of its blood entirely.
Yeah.
Now, keep this in mind. The average human has about 5 quarts of blood in them. At the time of her autopsy, it was stated that she had 1 teaspoon of blood. 1 teaspoon, okay? Now, to make matters even worse, it's known that a dead body can't be drained of that much blood. Therefore, this means she was likely drained whilst still alive.
Yeah.
He drained her blood while she was still alive.
I can't imagine how horrible of an experience that would be. How fucking absolutely miserable of an experience that would be. And it's just... fucking awful to think that somebody had to go through that.
Yeah.
Let alone somebody had the fucking, like, just the sheer will to do that to somebody else's.
I don't even understand it. I mean, this is a trust fund kid. Like,
he had money.
He had millions of dollars. He was fine. Like, he was fine. Everything was paid for. He had a beautiful fiance, a brand new baby daughter, and he just fucking trashed his entire life in one fell swoop.
For why? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Now, pieces of her flesh were found around the apartment and in the building's trash chute. In the dumpster, there were several garbage bags that were placed there by Leibel. Inside were several bloody towels and one of his t-shirts. Her scalp was actually never found.
That's awful.
I wonder, I don't know where it could have gone, what he could have done with it.
Like, you're never going to find it at that point.
No.
And it's just going to biodegrade, but still, it's like they're
Yeah, no. Oh God, dog ate it. The trial was pretty much open and shut. The prosecutors used Leibel's graphic novel in the case, calling some of the pages and panels a blueprint for the crime.
making note of a couple panels in particular. One showing 2 bodies hung upside down being drained of all their blood, and the other of a naked woman lying on a bed, decapitated, blood soaking the mattress. Eerily similar to the scene that they had just seen performed by Leibel himself.
Yeah.
It took the jury just 90 minutes to make a decision that Leibel was guilty of first-degree murder, and they even gave him special circumstances of torture and mayhem.
I'm amazed it took 90 minutes.
You have to remember, like, a lot of trials, like 90 minutes is like an absurdly short time. Days.
I know it is, but like,
I'm sure it was probably he was probably found guilty within like 20 minutes, but it's only your own research will oust them of the lies.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What's going on, MWXL? How you doing? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Yeah.
If we've met you before, I promise you, I don't remember and I'm sorry about it.
Yes. True.
Or you changed your name and you're trying to fool me. Who are you? Anyway, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole in 2018. This
seems like he should.
You actually did change your name.
Goddamn. Funkadelic. Okay.
Oh my God. So many opportunities for comedy with this story. So many.
Well, so like, I feel like life without parole is a little too lenient. I feel like death penalty probably would. I don't think California has the death penalty anymore.
I don't think the death penalty. I mean, like, personally, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty. I don't think it's something anybody should be given because
something like that.
No. Here's the thing, right? Like, the death penalty is almost like mercy.
Like too easy,
in my opinion. Like, for instance, Dahmer,
I could see that. Yeah,
deserved the death penalty, quote unquote, but like his death was actually a lot more brutal as a result because he didn't get a death penalty.
I know. We just finished that show.
Yeah, so like that's something to keep in mind. Spend more time looking for truth in gaming now, and it's horrible.
Now it's horrible.
That sounds horrible. MWXL. Let's
sound fun.
Maybe don't do that so much. Yeah, death penalty is not a penalty. You're out of the game. I could not agree more. Like, it's literally like, hey, you get to die now.
And then
like,
Chuck brings up a good point where it's $50,000 a year for an inmate that you're paying. So like, I don't know.
I kind of get it, but at the same time, I feel like the deth penalty is like it's like the same idea as like an eye for an eye. I
do find your what's the word? Your reasoning to be pretty solid. So.
Well, yeah, I think like somebody should be able to just suffer in prison.
Saying that you get off too easy, yeah.
I'm literally in the death penalty now for not being an NPC. Yeah, and at the end of the day, like the prison system here is absolutely heinous. We're not going to talk about that, but
yeah, but this asshole deserves to be in prison for life, regardless. Like
absolutely.
That's just. It's a horrid thing to do to somebody. It's an evil thing to do to somebody.
You just had a fucking daughter, you son of a bitch. Like,
and
fuck
to like
you.
Did they say what happened to his daughter?
They didn't.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about his daughter. I wondered if you had, but like, oh god, dude, like.
Hold on one second. I hear a phone going off. I'll be right back.
Do you hear what I hear? $12 for drugs. What? Chuck, what are you talking about? No, I mean like, ugh. It's like we've talked about some nasty shit on this podcast.
In what world does it make sense that my son's alarm was set for 9:58 p.m.?
Oh, I do that all the time by accident.
Well, like what?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
I was like, is somebody in the fucking house? Yeah, they have people selling weed in there.
For murders.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I mean, like, listen. There's a lot. We could go on for hours about the prison system and all of its horribly awful inadequacies, but I'm not going to do that.
We'll do a whole live stream about that.
Maybe. That's bordering on political, and
a little bit, yeah. Yeah. We'd have to find a way to be middle ground, but yeah, I don't know. I can't. Just the fact that he was like, you could tell that there was a certain level of like almost dreaming about doing something like this because of the graphic novel that he made. So
yeah,
that's awful.
No, it's very true. I mean, like, I'm morbidly curious about Syndrome. Like, I would like to kind of read it and learn and see like what it is, but it also kind of supports the guy. Maybe I can pirate it. Should I just pirate it? Fuck it. Go fuck yourself, you stupid little bitch. Fuck you. God, he's such a piece of shit. Yeah, I hope he can listen to this or watch this in his jail cell because fuck you. You stupid Canadian fuck, you ruined your life.
It's available on the internet for free. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think they would allow anyone to sell that anymore.
Yeah, I would hope not.
Yeah.
But folks, there you have it. That is the story of the graphic novelist.
No, he was just kind of put in prison. He wasn't. There's no information after him getting put in prison.
I don't think that they.
Which is what's crazy.
I don't think that they chose to pursue that, if I'm being perfectly honest, Strong Panda, because
if that usually happens in the trial where they plead insanity.
Yeah, and he didn't. That was not a thing.
Yeah.
Like truly, I don't believe that there was a plead insanity or anything like that.
Right.
So, like truly, I think he just might have snapped or something. Like, I would like to know more. There's not a lot about this, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like,
this one did not have a lot of information, but it had enough to cover it.
Yeah, I mean, be it that it is wildly brutal. It's like, I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that is what it is. And yes, Dad, unfortunately, you did. It's a shorter episode. Like, truly.
It's okay. Chuck, don't forget, it's going to be live on
It will be live on
YouTube. It'll be live on the Spotify, everything.
Yeah, it'll be available where everything is.
We are everywhere. We can be in your ear 24/7 a day if you want.
If you really want to.
You just have to make the choice to join the Messenites. Hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe. Peace. Let's fucking go. Anyway, folks, there you have it. That's the story of the little dipshit trust fund fuckface, Blake Leibel.
Yes. He's a glorious piece of shit.
I'm excited. We got another episode planned for next week.
Yes. We do.
Matt's going to be taking the reins on that.
We're getting back to some disaster territory.
More disaster territory. It's been a minute. I'm actually very excited. I listen to a lot of Crime Junkie and Morbid podcast at work. You should listen to this podcast at work too. We
Morbid
do a
Message
lot.
Mondays.
Morbid Message Mondays.
It's Tech Mess Talks now, so you have to. You have to go
just look up Tech Mess Talks.
But you can find it either way. !
Podcast will take you there too.
Yes.
We've talked about a lot of stuff. There's an entire 5-part series on Willie Picton. So, is it on iHeart?
I don't honestly know. I don't think Anchor produces to iHeart.
Tech Mess iHeart. Just Googling it. No, it's not on iHeart. I don't think we could get it on iHeart.
I wonder if we could.
We should look into that maybe. I don't know.
I'm curious now.
Interesting. Tech Mess iHeart.
I'm looking at Anchor. Oh, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not on iHeart.
Yeah, Anchor doesn't let you publish to iHeart.
Unfortunately.
Lame. That's okay.
Yeah, but it is on Spotify and it's everywhere else.
Maybe I'll find a way to get it published. We've got all the episodes.
And if you listen on Spotify, I don't believe there are ads because we're not sponsored. So
yeah, we don't get paid.
Don't worry about that.
Although this episode is sponsored by Magic Spoon.
It is. ! Magic Spoon. Thank you so much for sponsoring this. You didn't expect to sponsor this Magic Spoon, but you did.
This wasn't part of the deal, but you're here.
Could we heal the organic body and brain problems that people criminal psychosis are evidence to have? Start there. And I also have feelings of wanting to punish a murderer. Yeah, even to the point of eliminating them. I don't base my decisions on reactions though. See, and I'm like with you, but I'm like at the same time, I have such a hard time believing in punishment over rehabilitation because I feel like that's what's wrong with the prison system.
I think it depends on how much you can actually heal because there are some things you just can't heal.
Oh, I've checked out This American Life. That's good.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's an interesting conversation for sure, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. Also, thank you for the singing compliments. I appreciate you. But, folks, this is where we leave you. But, for those of you listening at home, this is where we leave you. I hope you have a great day, night, evening, whatever it is to be that you're having, kindly listeners /viewers. And well, goodbye.